Tensions exploded last night on The Late Show, with Stephen Colbert as a scheduled interview with Elon Musk spiraled into a verbal cage match. What started as light jabs turned into a fierce verbal brawl, ending in Musk tearing off his mic and storming off the set in fury. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button for more explosive stories like this. It started like any other high-profile episode. The Late Show studio was packed, the crowd buzzing, the cameras rolling, and the lights hitting just right. Stephen Colbert, America's sharp-tongued late-night satirist, opened with a monologue. That was, at first glance, classic Colbert, poking fun, keeping things playful. But the tone began to shift subtly as he introduced the evening's guest, Elon Musk. "Ladies and gentlemen," Colbert said, the corners of his mouth twitching with barely hidden mischief, "he's here to talk about rockets, robots, electric, cars, and maybe even how to save Twitter from itself. Give it up for Elon Musk." Musk walked out to a mixed wave of cheers and hesitant applause. He took his seat across from Colbert, wearing his signature half-smirk, half-scowl expression, as though he already suspected the evening wouldn't go according to script. For the first few minutes, the exchange was cordial, predictably awkward, but manageable. Colbert began with soft questions, asking about SpaceX's recent test flights and Neuralink's progress. Musk answered carefully, guarded but engaged. Then, in a moment that signaled the pivot, Colbert tilted his head and asked, "So, Elon, when do we get to upload our consciousness to Twitter? Or are you still working out the bugs in your echo chamber?" The crowd laughed. Musk didn't. "That's not how it works," Musk replied, offering a dry chuckle. Colbert leaned forward. "I'm just saying, the only thing your Neuralink is linking so far is headlines to lawsuits." A wave of nervous laughter rolled through the audience. Musk raised an eyebrow. "Well, it's a complex technology. It takes time." Colbert wasn't done. Right. Sort of like the Cybertruck. Only, with fewer shattered windows." Hopefully, the crowd erupted at that, and Musk's demeanor began to tighten. He shifted in his chair and shot Colbert a look that said, "I see what you're doing." "Stephen," Musk said, voice flat, "I'm here to talk about innovation, not be the butt of your monologue." "And yet," Colbert shot back smoothly, "you innovate so many ways to hand us material, it would be rude not to thank you." The laughter was louder this time, less controlled. And now, something in the air shifted palpably. Musk's charm was gone, replaced by an edge of simmering frustration. Colbert kept going. "How's the Boring Company doing? Still digging holes to nowhere? Or did you finally find oil under Los Angeles?" Musk's face twitched. "You clearly don't understand the technology." "I understand traffic still exists," Colbert quipped. "But hey, at least the flamethrowers sold well. Every dystopia needs a souvenir shop." At that moment, the camera caught Musk's jaw tightening. His smile, thin and mechanical, vanished completely. Musk began, "this is exactly the kind of smug cynicism that stifles progress. Mock the work, mock the people trying to solve actual problems, and then complain when nothing gets better." Colbert leaned back, letting the crowd soak in the tension. "I'm just holding you accountable, Elon," he replied coolly. "Someone has to when your board won't." That line drew audible gasps. But Colbert wasn't finished. He pulled out a printed graph and held it up, Tesla's stock trend for the week. "And speaking of accountability, I couldn't help but notice Tesla stock dipped this morning. Any idea why that happened? Or are the self-driving algorithms shorting your own shares now?" Musk stared at him, visibly seething. "This isn't journalism. This is character assassination in a suit." "Come on," Colbert said with mock sincerity. "You own an app where people literally pay to pretend to be someone else. If this is character assassination, I'd say it's your most successful product launch yet." The audience was loving it. Musk wasn't. "You're not funny," Musk said, his voice cold now. "And yet, "Here you are," Colbert replied, smiling tightly. "Maybe I'm the best return on investment you've had all year." And then it happened. Musk snapped the microphone off his lapel with a sharp flick, stood up from his chair, and turned to the audience. "I don't need this. I don't need you," he barked, his voice echoing over the stunned silence. "This whole show is a joke, and so is your idea of discourse." He tossed the mic onto the desk with a metallic thud. The cameras scrambled to track him as he stormed off stage. Colbert didn't flinch. He sat there calmly smoothing his tie. As the audience buzzed in disbelief, he delivered one final line, aimed directly at the retreating billionaire. "Guess some rockets just aren't built for re-entry." The set went dead quiet for half a second, then lit up in roars, whistles, and cheers. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. Because what happened backstage, what the cameras didn't catch, would turn this late-night confrontation into a full-blown cultural earthquake. The camera feed had cut to commercial just seconds after Elon Musk disappeared behind the curtain. But backstage was a different story. Pure chaos. Stage managers were rushing to intercept the billionaire, producers scrambling to salvage the situation, and a low buzz of panic spread like static through the corridors of CBS studios. Musk was pacing furiously near the dressing room hallway, tearing at the Velcro straps of his mic rig, the cable trailing behind him like a cut lifeline. His usually measured tone had dissolved into seething fragments of conversation, half muttered, half barked, caught on a nearby production assistant's phone, which was already quietly recording. "This is what passes for journalism?" He snapped to a CBS exec who had appeared to smooth things over. "Mocking everything I've built, while your ratings feed on it like leeches?" "We didn't expect it to go that way," the exec offered, hands raised. "Stephen, has a tone. You knew what you were walking into." "I knew I'd be questioned. I didn't know I'd be ambushed. There's a difference." Meanwhile, inside the control room, a second storm was brewing. Colbert, visibly unfazed by Musk's walkout, had returned from break with a smirk and a well-practiced pivot to his next segment. But the show's producers were in a frenzy. Phones blowing up, social media already ablaze. Clips of the confrontation were being uploaded in real time by the live audience. Colbert vs. Musk had begun trending even before the credits rolled. Backstage, Musk's team, 3 handlers in black suits and 2 PR reps from X-Corp, were clustered around him, trying desperately to de-escalate. "Elon, this is already going viral," one of them whispered, tapping frantically on his phone. "It's on TikTok, Instagram, Reddit. Your name's all over Twitter. People are either roasting you or, well, they're still roasting you." Musk turned sharply. "Get Tesla legal on the phone. And I want a response drafted now. This isn't going to be just a meme. If he thinks this won't have consequences, he's dead wrong." At that exact moment, someone tapped Musk on the shoulder. It was John Batiste, former band leader and occasional guest. He hadn't been on set, but he had been watching from the wings. "Elon," John said quietly, voice low, "you should walk away from this clean. Don't escalate it." Musk stared at him. "You think I care about optics right now? I think you care about power. And the most powerful thing you could do right now is not look like you lost control." Musk hesitated, the words hanging in the air like smoke. Then, from down the hall, a sharp voice cut through the tension. "Still here? I thought the Falcon 9 was a rapid escape vehicle." It was Colbert. He stood there at the far end of the hallway, coffee cup in hand, the faint glimmer of challenge in his eyes. He had changed out of his blazer during the break, now in shirt sleeves, but his posture hadn't lost an ounce of swagger. The corridor froze. Musk's head turned slowly toward him. "You're unbelievable," he said, voice tight. "No," Colbert replied, calm and cold. "I'm on brand." Musk took a step forward. "You humiliated me on live television. You embarrassed yourself," Colbert countered. "I just asked questions and told a few jokes. You're the one who cracked." "Your jokes were garbage," Musk growled. "You came after my work, my people. You laughed at progress. Is that comedy now?" Colbert didn't flinch. "I came after you because you sell the future like it's a carnival ride and expect no one to notice when it breaks down." Musk's PR rep attempted to interject. "Stephen, this really isn't the time," but Colbert silenced him with a glance. Musk's knuckles clenched. "You want to be clever? Let's talk about CBS stock after tonight. Or how your ratings spike when you bait your guests. You think you're immune to failure? You just kicked a hornet's nest, Stephen. Let's see how long your smug grin lasts when it swarms." Colbert sipped his coffee. "You talk like you're untouchable, but you walked into a comedy show and acted shocked when you got roasted. If your ego's too delicate for jokes, maybe don't. Sit across from a late-night host. Try Fox News. They might let you monologue without interruptions." Musk's breathing was heavy now, his jaw twitching, but he didn't move. Then Colbert, casually strolling forward, tossed one more dagger. "You know what the real problem is? You don't fear failure. You fear being laughed at, because deep down, even you know that some of your ideas sound like a Bond villain with a Reddit account." That was the line. Musk lunged, not physically, but vocally. "I don't need to take this," he snapped. "I've built more in a decade than you'll accomplish in your entire career of cheap applause and smug monologues. And yet," Colbert said with surgical precision, "you're the one yelling in a hallway while I'm headed back to tape an Emmy-winning show. Have a safe trip back to your bunker, Elon." Security began to edge closer, not because they expected a fight, but because they'd seen enough celebrity meltdowns to know when one was reaching the red zone. One of Musk's handlers whispered, "We need to leave. Now." Musk glared at Colbert one last time, eyes hard. "This isn't over." "Of course it's not," Colbert said. "Nothing ever is with you. It's always the next promise, the next tweet, the next thing that'll change the world. Just remember, this time, the world watched you fold." And then Musk turned on his heel and stormed down the hallway, his entourage scrambling behind him. Cameras from a digital media outlet, tipped off in real time by a crew member, captured his exit, the headlines writing themselves as he pushed through the doors and into the dark New York night. Back in the studio, the audience was still buzzing, reeling from the sheer unpredictability of what they'd witnessed. Colbert returned to his desk, flipping through his notes with mock nonchalance. "Coming up next," he said into the camera, "a raccoon who can play the xylophone, and he won't yell at me backstage." The audience laughed, but the ripple wasn't as strong as before. The tension still lingered, heavy, electric. Something tectonic had shifted on live television, and everyone could feel it. By the time midnight hit, clips were on every social media platform. Elon's walkout, the Tesla stock joke, the hallway confrontation, all of it. Speculation flooded Twitter, some defending Musk's frustration, others praising Colbert for not backing down. But as the chaos unfolded online, a different kind of storm was brewing inside Tesla HQ. And by morning, the consequences of that late-night verbal brawl would erupt into headlines far beyond entertainment. At 6:47 a.m. PST, Bloomberg broke the news. Tesla shares had dropped 9% in pre-market trading. The headline was brutal, almost surgical in its directness. Tesla CEO's late-night meltdown sparks stock slide. Within minutes, CNBC and Reuters followed suit. Financial analysts began dissecting not Musk's latest tech pitch, but his behavior, dragging clips of the confrontation across trading floors like forensic evidence. Wall Street didn't blink. It reacted. Investors were not impressed with the sight of the CEO of a trillion-dollar company shouting down a talk show host and storming off set like an unhinged startup founder. The drop, though not catastrophic, sent ripples through the tech sector. Rivals saw an opportunity. Critics sharpened their knives. And inside Tesla's boardroom in Palo Alto, the atmosphere was razor thin. Public perception matters, one senior board member snapped, during a hastily called emergency Zoom meeting. We've weathered tweets, gaffes, and lawsuits. But this is different. This was televised. Musk hadn't joined the meeting. He was in flight, literally, on his private Gulfstream, heading back from New York. According to a source on board, he sat in silence, watching footage of the Colbert confrontation on a loop, his fingers tapping furiously against the leather. Armrest, the mic drop, the walkout, the hallway face-off, the final jab. Each replay seemed to deepen the creases in his expression. Back at CBS, The Late Show was experiencing a different kind of fallout, a surge in ratings unlike anything they'd seen in years. Overnight viewership had spiked by 2.3 million, with YouTube uploads hitting tens of millions within hours. Every network wanted Colbert on for a soundbite, but he refused all morning shows. He didn't need to speak. The footage spoke for itself. Still behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. CBS executives fielded calls from advertisers and corporate partners. Some were ecstatic, others uneasy. "It's electric," one rep said, "but we don't want this show to turn into a political battlefield. If you go after Elon, next week it'll be Bezos, then Zuckerberg. What's the ceiling?" Stephen Colbert, in response, offered only a line to his head producer. "Tell them if they don't want fireworks, stop booking guys who bring gasoline." But even Colbert knew this wasn't just about a celebrity outburst. It had become a referendum on unchecked tech power, on public accountability, on what happens when billionaires, so often celebrated, feared, and idolized, were finally challenged in unscripted spaces. By noon, Elon Musk's PR team issued a public statement on his behalf. The tone was as controlled as it was corporate. Mr. Musk appeared on The Late Show to engage in thoughtful conversation about innovation and the future. Regrettably, the segment became hostile and disrespectful, detracting from meaningful dialogue. He stands by his work and will continue focusing on solving real-world problems through science and engineering. But Twitter wasn't buying it. The replies were savage. "Solving problems? You couldn't even solve a conversation." Neuralink. Who? Man couldn't handle basic human interaction. Come back when you can take a joke, Elon. Colbert didn't even break a sweat. Even celebrities weighed in. Ryan Reynolds tweeted, "Honestly can't tell if that was The Late Show or an episode of Succession." Chrissy Teigen posted a clip of Colbert's Bond villain with a Reddit account line with the caption, "Absolutely savage." Musk tried to retake control of the narrative. That afternoon, he hosted a surprise live audio session on X Spaces, an attempt to speak directly to his followers, unfiltered, uninterrupted. But it backfired. Listeners flooded in, expecting a rebuttal or redemption arc. Instead, they got a cold, rambling monologue where Musk veered between justifying his projects, criticizing mainstream media, and accusing Colbert of weaponizing comedy. The comment section was brutal. "This is like watching a TED Talk from your divorced uncle. Dude, go touch some Mars dust." The damage wasn't fatal, but it was real. Tesla stock closed down 7.4% that day. Sponsors of upcoming Musk ventures started pulling back promotional collaborations. Neuralink had a scheduled Q&A panel at SXSW, canceled. A planned SpaceX partnership with a major media network went quiet. But the real blow came from within. On the third day after the incident, the Tesla board issued a closed-door decision. Musk would take a temporary leave from all media-facing roles. He could remain CEO, but for the foreseeable future his public appearances would be vetted, and media interviews strictly coordinated through legal and PR channels. It was a muzzle, and everyone knew it. Stephen Colbert addressed the fallout briefly the following week. With the studio bathed in blue light, he opened the monologue with a dry smile. "Well, folks, I didn't think a few jokes would be enough to send a billionaire into orbit, but hey, Who needs rockets when you've got thin skin? The audience erupted again. The crowd had chosen a side, and it was clear who won this round. But then Colbert's tone shifted. I want to say this clearly. What we do here is satire. It's jokes. Yes, they cut sometimes. Yes, they hold up a mirror. But if you're going to lead the world, you need to know how to take a hit without crumbling like a Tesla on autopilot. He looked directly into the camera. Because leadership isn't about building escape pods. It's about staying in the room when things get uncomfortable. That line, staying in the room, trended within minutes. By the end of the week, The Late Show had its highest ratings in a decade. CBS greenlit 2 new specials, and Colbert received a quiet, handwritten note from a rival late-night host that simply read, "Well played." As for Elon Musk, his retreat from the public spotlight was temporary, but telling. He resurfaced weeks later, more careful, more guarded, his online presence noticeably subdued. The world moved on, as it always does, but something fundamental had shifted. The veneer of invincibility had cracked, and that crack, once visible, never truly fades. In the end, it wasn't a rocket, a robot, or a revolutionary idea that shook the tech world. It was a chair, a desk, and one late-night host who refused to back down.